Welcome to the Smart Entrepreneur Show, the podcast where we share smart ideas, strategies, and lessons to help entrepreneurs build better businesses. One of the biggest challenges for any entrepreneur or freelancer is pricing. Many people either charge too low and lose profit or charge too high and lose customers. So how do you find the right price that reflects your value and still attracts clients? In today's episode, we'll talk about how to price your services or products correctly so you can grow your income and build a sustainable business. If you want to avoid underpricing and start earning what you truly deserve, this episode is for you. Let's get started.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to dive into this. We've actually fed a massive stack of, pricing psychology studies and market data into our deep dive today. And, well, the primary mission for this discussion is to just completely reframe how you view the numbers you attach to your work.
Yeah, which is a huge deal for so many people listening.
Exactly. We want to take pricing from being this, massive paralyzing source of anxiety and transform it into a really sharp strategic tool for your growth.
I know a lot of you out there probably just felt a knot in your stomach the second I brought up pricing. I mean, it is a notoriously loaded topic. We spend all this time perfecting our craft, building our products, and then we just stare at a blank invoice, completely frozen.
Right. And that paralysis comes from a very specific place. I mean, to find that optimal price point, we have to start by unlearning our most basic, ingrained instinct about money.
Wait, unlearning? What do you mean by that?
Well, from a very young age, we are conditioned to believe that price is strictly tied to cost. We calculate the cost of raw materials, we track the hours of labor, factor in a bit of overhead, and then we just assume the final price tag is a direct mathematical reflection of those inputs.
Oh, like a simple equation. Materials plus labor plus, I don't know, a 20% margin equals your price.
Yeah, exactly like that. But the behavioral economic data we reviewed makes one thing absolutely clear. Pricing is not fundamentally about what it costs you to produce a product or deliver a service.
So it's not about the sweat equity or the hours at the desk.
Far from it. Pricing is fundamentally about value. To price correctly, you really have to understand the exact dimensions of the problem you are solving and how valuable that specific solution is to your customer.
Right.
The cost to you as the creator or service provider is almost entirely secondary to the value generated for the person sitting across the table.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's like buying a bottle of water. At a grocery store, it's $1. At a theme park on a scorching hot day, it's $5. The cost to bottle the water didn't change, but the value of solving the customer's immediate problem skyrocketed.
That is a perfect example. I mean, notice what changes in that transaction. The thirsty person at the theme park isn't asking for an itemized receipt of your material costs.
Yeah, they just want the water.
Exactly. When the urgency and the impact of the problem are that high, cost friction just disappears entirely. That is the fundamental shift every entrepreneur needs to make. You have to stop looking internally at your own spreadsheets and start looking externally at your customer's reality.
So looking at what friction we're actually removing for them.
Yes. Are you saving them 50 hours a month? Are you mitigating some massive legal risk? Or, are you directly increasing their sales? The financial or emotional outcome of your work dictates the price, not the sweat equity you put into delivering it.
So how does an entrepreneur figure out the true value of the problem they are solving? I mean, we can talk about water bottles all day, but in the day-to-day grind of B2B services, how do we put a hard number on something as fluid as value?
Well, the market analyses we fed into the system actually provide a very clear framework for this. We transition from the philosophy of pricing into the actual mechanics through 3 specific pillars.
Okay, what are they?
They are cost-based pricing, competitor-based pricing, and value-based pricing.
Got it.
Yeah, and you really need to choose the right method based on your specific business model. What's fascinating here is that these aren't just random choices, but strategic levers depending on how your business operates.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate for a second. Cost-based seems the safest to ensure you don't lose money. But isn't competitor-based pricing the easiest way to guarantee you won't scare people off? Why not just look at the shop next door and charge the exact same?
That is such a common trap. It really is. The problem is that mirroring assumes complete symmetry in your business models, which is a lethal assumption.
Lethal. Really?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the case studies we reviewed highlighted a mid-sized agency that tried to aggressively price match a massive competitor. They saw the public pricing page and just copied it entirely.
Let me guess, it didn't end well.
It was a disaster. What the mid-sized agency didn't know was that the massive competitor was using that specific front-end service as a loss leader.
Oh, wow. So they were intentionally bleeding cash on that first transaction just to get people in the door.
Yes, they were deliberately losing money on that service because they had this high-margin proprietary back-end software that clients were upsold into later.
Oh, man. And the smaller agency didn't have that back end.
Exactly. The mid-sized agency copied the low price, didn't have the lucrative back-end infrastructure to offset the losses, and nearly bankrupted themselves within 2 quarters.
That is terrifying.
It is. When you copy a competitor, you are completely blind to their back end. You don't know their overhead. You don't know if they have legacy real estate that drastically lowers their costs. And, you don't know their conversion metrics.
They're just blindly adopting their numbers without any of their context. Plus, aren't you just commoditizing yourself by default if you do that?
Spot on. You strip away your own unique value proposition instantly. If you charge the exact same amount as the business next door, you are explicitly telling the market that there is zero difference in quality or expertise between the two of you.
Right.
And when there is no perceived difference, the customer's only metric for making a decision is to just demand a lower price from both of you. It triggers a race to the bottom.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We often underprice not because the market won't pay it, but because we lack the confidence to ask for it. It's imposter syndrome disguised as a business strategy.
Oh, absolutely. The source material emphasizes this heavily. Underpricing simply due to a lack of confidence is incredibly prevalent.
We just negotiate against ourselves before we even hit send on the proposal.
Yeah, because you're putting your expertise out into the market, you feel vulnerable, and the easiest way to soften the intense fear of rejection is to just lower the price tag. You tell yourself, well, if I make it undeniably cheap, they can't possibly say no.
It's totally a defense mechanism. We think, if I charge a premium and fail, I'm a fraud. But if I charge bargain prices and the project gets messy, well, they got what they paid for.
Right, but the data shows it actually creates the exact nightmare scenario you're trying to avoid. When you underprice out of fear, you actively destroy the client's trust in your competence.
Because price is a proxy for quality, right?
Exactly. If your quote comes in bizarrely low, the decision maker thinks, what is missing here? Are they desperate, inexperienced? Will I have to hire someone else to fix their mistakes in 3 months?
Okay, so if lack of confidence drives prices down and cheap prices destroy trust, how does an entrepreneur confidently drive them up? How do you justify that?
Well, this is where we get into the perception of value. It comes down to positioning, branding, and meticulously targeting the right audience.
So how you present yourself directly changes what you can charge.
100%. The research emphasizes that a higher perceived value allows you to charge higher prices sustainably. If we connect this to the bigger picture, your price isn't just a number, it's a marketing tool. It signals to your target audience what kind of quality they can expect.
It's like generic sneakers versus a designer brand. The rubber and canvas might cost roughly the same to manufacture, but the branding entirely changes the perceived value to the target audience.
That is a great way to put it. The visual branding, the friction-free nature of your onboarding, the specialized vocabulary you use during a discovery call, all of these elements build a premium aura around your service.
It sets the psychological anchor for the client.
Yes. If your branding screams elite and reliable, your price must mathematically reflect elite and reliable. If you present a highly polished brand but then hand them a quote for $200, you create massive cognitive dissonance for the buyer.
They won't trust the polish because the price contradicts it entirely.
Exactly. You are communicating that you are the premium, low-risk solution. And corporate clients, in particular, will gladly pay a massive premium just to mitigate risk.
So it's about aligning your perceived value with your actual price tag. But okay, let's say I'm listening to this. I understand value-based pricing. I know I shouldn't copy my competitors, and I'm working on my branding. But I'm still just staring at my screen, terrified to pick the wrong number to launch with.
Fear.
What if I mess it up?
I get that fear. But the operational data we reviewed offers a massive sigh of relief on this exact point. You do not need to be perfect from the beginning. Pricing is not permanent.
So it's not etched into stone the moment you publish your website.
Not at all. The most profitable entrepreneurs view pricing as a living, breathing metric. You really must learn to test and adjust your pricing over time. Treating price as a fluid metric rather than a permanent fixture is the hallmark of a smart business model.
How do you actually test it, though, without alienating people?
You test it systematically. For service providers, one of the most effective methods is just the incremental raise on new proposals.
Like just bumping it up a bit each time.
Yeah. If you are currently closing 100% of the pitches you send out, your prices are objectively too low. You are leaving money on the table. You should aim to raise your prices by, say, 10 to 15% on the next 3 proposals you send out.
You want to feel a little bit of friction. You want someone to say no occasionally.
Exactly. You need a healthy amount of rejection because a lower close rate at a significantly higher margin is how you build a sustainable business.
So what does this all mean for you right now? It means you don't have to agonize over the perfect number today. You can set a price based on your value, see how the market reacts, and literally adjust it next month.
Every yes that comes too quickly and every no that complains about the budget is just raw data. It's just market feedback helping you dial in that precise positioning.
It really takes the pressure off when you view it as an experiment.
It does. It's just the starting line. And before we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over based on today's insights.
Okay, let's hear it.
We established that underpricing stems from fear and that premium positioning creates a higher perceived value. So consider this. If branding and positioning create a higher perceived value, could raising your prices actually be the exact thing you need to do to attract your ideal target audience rather than scare them away?
Wow, that is a powerful question to end on.
Yeah.
Flipping the whole script.
Yeah, just think about what a significantly higher number signals to the high caliber clients you actually want to work with.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Smart Entrepreneur Show, make sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss future episodes, and feel free to share your thoughts or experiences in